We've just opened up Bespoke Synth, and we have our controls at the top left here, which we can change the tempo, we can pick the key, it just selects one at random, we can come back to this later, and then we have our output nodes down here. So the first thing that I tend to do with building a track is to use an instrument that is like a signal generator, if you like. I think of it a bit like a Morse code machine, and feed it into something that synthesizes that signal into a sound. So I'm going to get a note sequencer, and the interface is a little bit unusual. You sort of click and drag to pull it off. So there we go. It's given us 3 notes. There we go. And so I'm going to get an oscillator and connect that to the output there. Put that into there and press play. Okay. Now we can decide that we don't like that and say, well, give me some random other notes. Okay, we can move notes left and right, sort of. I want it to be a bit faster. Okay, and now we're not going to look at music synthesis, or sound synthesis, because I don't really know much about it, but what I tend to do is play with all of these. Sort of get the sound that I want. That's sounding good, and I might drop it down an octave. There. So now I might add a drum sequencer, and the synth that tends to go to is a drum player. So let's connect those up. Now the bottom line is the bass drum, so we could put some of those in. The next one up is a snare, I think. We could start to try out the other drums. Mixture of cymbals and tom-toms and things. Okay, and I might want a higher melody. So I'm going to get another note sequencer. I don't use very many of the tools that are there, and there's not enough notes there. I might sort of think, well, I want something. Okay, what's that sound like? It's all a bit on one note now. Let's alter the pitch. There we go. That's a bit. Let's make it a bit all over the place. There we go. That might be okay. So I'm going to get a different synth, the Carl Strong. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so I can play with all the... with those till I get something that... So now I might want to alter this in that I could make this twice as long, like 16, and then do something. And so this now is my first track. Let's save this. Now all the audio that we've been playing so far, if I click write audio, it actually has saved that performance, if you like, because Bespoke is kind of designed for live coding, into an audio file that I could listen to back. And as I built it up, that would happen. It just records all the time. So if I wanted to sort of make a recording, I could do so now. Now, if I click on these little buttons here, I can turn off those components. So now I can sort of bring in one thing at a time. So what else can we do? Well, another thing that we can do is whilst things are just electrical signals here, we can use all these brown effects, if you like, or modulate, or I don't quite know how to describe them, note effects. So, for example, I might want to, instead of this just being one note, if I wanted to also have it in an octave higher, I could drag this. Now, if I connect this to this, that will make it an octave higher. But I might want to have both notes going through. Don't know if you can hear that. I might want to delay this particular note here, so you can sort of separate them out. So let's try a note delayer, and we can take the output of there and put that into there. Don't know if you can. I might want to add a note echo. As you can see here, when I feed into this, each of the individual echo notes comes out of here. So I can feed them all into the same synth and turn that on. I quite like that. You can see in the red it's getting a bit loud. That's because obviously we set the more notes, the more signal. So now we're sort of starting to see what all these can do. We can also process the audio, because at this point it's no longer a signal, it's actually a complex audio wave. So there's lots of effects we could use here. Such as reverb in this is called freeverb, but you will see we can make it sound like it's in a more echoey room. Let's turn off the, in fact, can we, no, we can't turn off the note echo, we can just, no, so let's just take that out of there for now. So you can hear that effect there, and we might want to add a distortion to our bass line. So instead of adding them individually, you can actually add what's called an effect chain, and then you can add them here. That means you can add distortion. Let's add the bass back in. Turn off whilst we. So that's making the turn off the distortion. So now we've added some note effects and some audio effects, and there are lots of different types. But what else can we do? Well, we can also use samples, and to do that we use a sample player. Now we could load an audio file that we had, or we can get an input object I. Feed it into here, and then if I move these out of the way, when we click play, if I was to record, hello, we then have a sample that we can put into there. Let's turn off some of the other ones. Okay, so this is a sample, hello, that we could use. We can change the speed of the sample. Hello. But we can sort of think, well, I want that to play at the start of the bar. So modulators are really useful because they're like an extra pair of hands times 10. Because they can turn things on and off and up and down for you. So I'm going to use a control sequencer that looks like this. And you can see it clicking along. Now, each object in the top corner here has a little fold out thing. And I'm going to say not slider mode. I like this mode. And what you can do is you can say, well, I want that to play then. And can you see everything that's gone sort of pink is controllable? So I can put that into there and then turn that on there, and you will notice hello. When it gets round to there, hello. So let's now add the bass line back in. Which is quite good. But we can also use control sequences. I'm going to turn off that, like that, and it will stop playing. We can also use modulators that are curve, where are they? A curve looper, is it? Yeah. So for example, if I wanted this or anything to alter over time, let's say the speed of this, I can click here to create the sort of control that I want and pass that into, let's say that, and you can see it's going down to up and down. And so now when we turn this back on and this plays, and this could be over 3 bars or but equally we could use a curve looper with one of the parameters on the synthesizer, which can have some good effects. So if we turn on, it's getting a bit messy now. If you click on any of the objects, it shrinks them down, and you can also sort of zoom out slightly to give yourself more room. So I was going to use a curve looper here to alter the sound of this oscillator. Let's see if I can do something that is noticeable. Let's change the shuffle. Let's maybe try it on the bass. Good, maybe the G tune, that's right. Could be used for the volume. Okay, so that's pretty much making use of lots of the features. Now let's look at some of the bits and bobs that we might use to actually create an arrangement or a song rather than just a beat. So quite often what I use for this is this songbuilder, which has a sort of collection of what you might call named areas of a song. So let's maybe get some simple stuff going. Let's get a drum sequencer, and let's do something up here, I don't know, and a drum player, and you can do a lot of this without even hearing the without hearing what you're making. I'm going to use a dot sequencer rather than note sequencer. Now what's handy about this is that I can do single notes a bit like a note sequencer. So here, let's put that into there. I'm going to make it sound a bit more interesting, perhaps, hopefully. I don't know. Let's hear what this is sounding like. So as well as single notes, you can also do longer notes and multiple notes. Okay, so let's imagine we've got this is the verse, let's say, and let's make a chorus. So I'm going to use a note sequencer here. I'm going to turn this off, see what this sounds like. Okay, quite like that. Can it go lower? Okay, that'll do. So what I need to do in order to create a song, if you like, with different bits, I can have multiple parts. So let's maybe have another note sequencer. And another synth. I want to make something a bit more twinkly over here. So I might try and find out. Just experimenting. Oh, that's the. Oh, I'm doing the wrong one. I'm doing this one. Okay, so I'm going to add some effects to this with an effect chain. Might add some delay. So I'm going to put that into the effect chain and into the output. So this is, let's say this is my chorus. Doesn't really matter. Right. So what do I need to do? I need to first save my, I'm going to call this song 1. Okay, so I say that I would like a off sequence for 4 bars, let's say, and then a verse sequence for, let's say, 8 bars, and a chorus for, let's say, 8 bars, and a verse for 8 bars, and a chorus for 8 bars, and then an off. So here I now decide what goes into each of these slots, if you like. I've got some extra ones here that I don't, if I don't need that, I can actually get rid of it. And so, for example, in the off, I would put kind of put nothing, right? So how am I doing this? In the verse, let's say I was to attach to here and attach to here, I could choose which one of these I want it to be in. So I could say, well, I don't want it to be, I'm not using an intro, so I can get rid of that. So we've got verse, chorus, right, and delete. Do we have an outro? No, we don't. Let's delete that as well. So I could say, well, I'd like to use this on the verse, but not on the chorus. And then add another collection of things. I'm going to put this into the chorus. It's a little bit strange, and I'm going to make a copy by option dragging this window. And make a slightly this is going to be my other. So I might say in the chorus I want this drum rhythm, and in the verse I want this rhythm. And at the moment we're in a mode. Is this? Oh no, this one isn't. So here I'm turning on and off the sequences. I could turn off the oscillators, but I would need to be aware of what I'm doing. It might be handy to have one per thing. So here now I can actually stop the song, and this, although it's playing, this then sort of controls, and you'll see on the off it will switch everything off, and then on the verse it will switch on the items which are attached here. And usefully, you used to be able to colour these. Here we go. Yeah, you can. You can say, well, I want this to be the verse to be red, and I want the so you can see the lines a little bit more clearly. So now when we play this, we'll get. I'm going to limit that to just 1 bar. We only want 1 bar of nothing. So now you can see we're playing, and it's now playing the 8 bars of our song. So you can see we might have an intro, and then it's we've got 8 bars of this beautiful rendition. And then on. And so you can you can decide how you want to organise the different sections and which bits are on or off in the respective, if you like, on the offy bits. So not the best song in the world, but it's starting to have some structure. Okay. In this one, let's look at using modulators to make things a lot more interesting. So we can let's start with a note sequencer and just create a really simple, I don't know, sort of bass line maybe. Let's get an oscillator and put that into there. And let's see. Okay. So now let's look at some of the modulators that we can use. We can use a fubble. Is a great one to use. There's a fubble. And what is a fubble? Well, it's a scribble that moves 2 lines up and down. So for example, do I have to be playing? Yeah. Let's draw a strange shape. There we go. So we now have something that will move up and down in quite an organic way, and we can slow this down quite a lot. There we go, that's more like it. So I can take this output here and say, well, what happens if we apply that to... And we might apply that to another parameter. Well, let's maybe try it on that one. We can use curve loopers. Let's add, let's say, let's think about an audio effect that we might want to work with. Let's say a tremolo. Got no idea what that might do, but if we were to put that on here and then put that into the amount, maybe slow it down. Okay, and we can use control sequences. I always like to look at it this way around, like that. So I can turn things on and off. So I could, or control any value really. So let's have a look at the octave here. If I wanted a few bars to go up and down, I can move these sliders now. And I can also maybe use it to, let's make another control sequencer, to change the key. So again, I like to do this. So I'm going to put this into there. So it picks up, you can see it says, it now knows that these are all this. So if I wanted to go from... And you can see it's maybe going along too quickly. I might say, well, I only want this to move at... so I might have a more of a... yeah, so what else have we got? We have mathematical things that we can do. We can actually use audio volume, if you like, to become signals again that might turn things on and off. What else have we got? We've got similar thing with pitches. It can detect pitches. We've got really useful rampers, and what these can do is we can say, well, over 4 notes, I want you to turn down nicely to 0, and we'll create a lovely fade out. But equally, we might use it to turn it up again. So let's go to maybe 1 and start. There's also something called a group control, which is useful. A group control is simply a button that you can use on any number of things. And you can then turn them on and off with one button. So that's use it. I'm just sort of thinking, what other modulators are good? Yeah, they're the best. The other ones can become more what's the word? Complicated or maths based, where you're actually you're inputting a number and outputting a formulaic number, for example. Okay, so that's using modulators. As well as the built-in synths and the built-in sounds that you can use, you can also work with what are called VSTs. And VSTs are sort of the plugins that sort of can behave a bit like effects pedals or things that a synthesizer might have. And they're separate from Bespoke synth, and VSTs or plugins would work with GarageBand or Cakewalk or any other music software. So there is a plugins menu, and so for example you can get some really big systems like Contact. This is the free version, and if I wanted to, let's say, use their which one? Gentle strings. I can select that, and you can see it's got, they all have different interfaces, or the third parties, but if I now feed my if you like, signals into that instrument, you can hear I've got different controls, so I can make it sound differently. If I use the Labs plugin, and I like the plugins because quite often they're dealing with sounds that are more like real instruments, or made up of samples of real instruments. But here you can find all sorts of interesting. I wonder what expressive string sounds like. How do we get that to load? Oh. Was that the one I was in? Yeah, let's maybe try the BBC. Oh no, that's a paid one. Where's the free ones? Have we got any guitars download? So now obviously some sounds work better at a certain volume, because you know, like a piccolo played low doesn't really come over very well, but you can hear this is interesting. I turned up the reverb. Well, let's add some delay. Okay. Now sometimes the installation of these, because they are entire ecosystems, is a nightmare. But some of the things that are in there are sometimes worth the effort. So for example, if I was to put this into a guitar rig, I can pretend it's a heavy metal guitar now and basically pick a probably so these are a lot more sophisticated out of the box, and they also have lots of really good presets, which is what I always look for. So for example, I might want to use a fancy echo, so I could turn that off there. You might not hear it too well on this, but so here's all the different sort of settings for. That's making this sound a bit more psychedelic. I have got a page that lists the ones that I think are worth it, in that you get a lot of bang for buck. So you can decide whether you really want orchestral sounds or guitar sounds or real instrument sounds, but there's also synthesizers in there as well. All sorts of things. Trying to think if there's any good ones that I can show you. Some of them do production things, like supercharger sort of changes the nature of the sound. Let's see. It's mainly for drums. Let's see what it does. Can't really hear much difference in that. See, you get a very different feel to the electronic synthesizers of Bespoke Synth.